Today in the episode, Workshop, Monsters Are Real, 11 energy guns in action, Voice of the Wasteland, where we read your messages and choose the craft of the episode. And we begin with Special, a peek into the future of the game. Last year, there were a lot of cool new things appearing in the valley, but we couldn't just stop there, could we? It's 2051 already. The winds of change are blowing, and there's a feeling in the air that the future is almost here. So what do we see in our divination orb made out of an Aegis Prime? First, a modified Winter Mayhem. It's going to be more focused, with less leagues. It'll get upgraded vehicle designs, and if you do well, you'll be able to obtain a tank for your backyard, even a gold one. Then, obviously, we're in for lots of small tweaks and quality of life improvements. For example, after the update, you'll be able to rename your old contributions to the exhibition. The full list of changes, though, is very long, and we don't have much gas in our divination orb/time machine hybrid, so let's go straight to the juiciest bits. With roaring engines and screeching tires, a new faction takes the valley by storm. This is the Neon Dragon Syndicate. Survivors that are used to the modest practicality of wasteland cars might dismiss newcomers as harmless show-offs, but don't let their flashy looks lull you into a false sense of security. Under all that neon and polished steel, there is a hungry dragon getting ready to strike. The riders of the Syndicate are as ambitious as they are ruthless. Want to know more about them, or maybe even learn the ways of the Neon Dragon? No problem. There's a new big event starting in the Wastes just so that you could do that. With 75 levels, Battle Pass integration, lots of missions, and even more rewards, including unique cosmetic items, building parts, and, most importantly, schematics for all sorts of new equipment. The blueprints are all in Chinese or Japanese, but the tech looks cool, that's for sure. Speaking about new tech, we're already itching to try to do all sorts of crazy shenanigans with the Syndicate hardware, because their equipment opens up a lot of new possibilities. Judge for yourselves. There are omnidirectional wheels that let your car go in any direction, a special device that tracks the target's position on the map, a drone that has a very short life but bonkers firepower, a cabin that buffs your weapons while you're drifting for Mentor's sake, and that's just naming a few. There's also another cab, other wheels, a melee weapon, new turrets, so many possibilities. It would be cool to have a new environment to test all these new toys, so there's a new PvP location coming to the Wastes as well, with strong Asian vibes. What, we're running out of fuel? Ah, damn it. Well, looks like you'll just have to explore the new map yourselves, and we have just a bit of time left to talk about one last thing. What should it be? Ugh, too many options. Alright, let's go with this one. After the update drops, we'll finally be able to fight in close proximity to trees or bushes. They'll turn semi-transparent when you get real close and won't obstruct your vision. And we're out of gas. We were able to save a bit of data about the new coil gun though. Let's talk about it after a short commercial break.
Humans can't fly, or can they? Find out by taking a sip of the signature cocktail made by the Air Shaman. Possible side effects include mental confusion, increased heart rate, nausea, and diarrhea.
It's dark out there. The night fell on the valley. Be wary, traveler. When the sun sets, the hunt begins, and we call the hunter Kaiju. This is an experimental, one-of-a-kind beast of a weapon that requires 11 energy to power it. Let's take a closer look. The first thing you notice is this. The stats are off the charts. It's like there was a stat giveaway and our Kaiju got all the prizes. As you already know though, this kind of firepower comes with crazy levels of energy consumption. The high energy cost severely limits possible tactical applications and building possibilities. If you, like many survivors out there, are used to outfitting your car with several weapons of the same type, you'll have to adjust your habits. Let's see what we get for sacrificing that much. First, the damage output is insane, and you deal even more damage if all shots from the previous barrage hit their mark. To put it short, when it comes to our damage potential, the sky's the limit. But, and that's a pretty big but, if you want to see really big numbers, you have to charge your shots. That takes quite a while, meaning that you'll have to plan your shots in advance. Second, the kaiju has a decent rate of fire. Yep, that's right. Even though charging the weapon takes time, which means that you can't really spam your shots, you can discharge it often enough to actually make a difference in battle. The third advantage is that the gun is pretty accurate. Once again, that's not immediately apparent, but the kaiju gets more and more accurate as you charge your shot. As a result, it can reliably hit things that are in your sights, which is great, obviously, and makes it viable at range. Okay, enough with the theory. Let's go outside and test the gun in combat. Gotta feel the beast, you know? We're going to use this special car on 3 meat grinders. Why 3, you might ask? Well, the one in the back helps us to deal with the recoil, as the kaiju has quite a kick. It also looks neat, which is very important. In combat, we're relying on the tactic that's been utilized for generations: hit and run all day long. This way, we keep our precious gun out of harm's way, which allows us to strike again and again. Use every chance you get to flank the enemy so that you can shoot at them from the side, and try to prioritize weak spots. If your barrage hits one of their explodey bits, they're basically gone. If there's too much heat, calmly disengage. We don't need to be close to our targets to send them to automobile heaven, and our shots travel pretty damn fast, something that your enemies will have to learn very, very soon. Before we start reading your comments and questions, though, there's a bit of explaining to do. Last episode, we told you that porcupine barrels self-explode in 20 seconds, when in fact, they do it in 10. The thing is, the blast wave from one of the explosions kind of totaled the only time measuring device we had, so we had to improvise and count the time on our fingers. And that didn't go well. But we fixed the clock by using tape, a mammoth gun, and a pickle. So it should be a smooth ride from now on. Now, back to your messages. The first one was sent by Stephanus Duplessis, an excellent name, by the way. He asks, will we get new game modes? I mean, there are only 3. The assault, the one with the 3 bases, and the one with the base in the middle. Hi, Stephanus. We're brainstorming ideas for new modes all the time, and we'll be testing some of them in Brawls this year. Keep your eyes peeled. The next message comes from one of our regulars, Cheese on Vase. He says, hey there, devs. We have cabins with built-in weapons like the Tusk, the Werewolf, and the Cerberus. Will we be seeing more weapons built into cabins anytime soon? Maybe a cab which fires homing missiles upon having taken a certain amount of damage, or a cabin with a small machine gun on the roof? Thanks! Hey man, not anytime soon. We like the idea and really dig the cabins that you described, by the way, but cabs like that are a nightmare to balance properly. Mateo Basquiera asks, can you add a spectator mode to the game? Spectators won't be able to write in team chat or do anything, except see the match from the sky or a player perspective, depending on what they choose that match. I think that would be great for new players to learn stuff and veteran players to chill and watch matches. Hi Mateo, this is a very neat idea, but we can't really stop players from giving each other intel through external means, like Discord, for example. Could work in some modes, though. We'll consider it. Finally, there's this message sent by a survivor called Hentai Cho. I built a car, but it looks like Thomas the Tank Engine. And my friend rides a car that looks like Pikachu. Another friend rides Mickey Mouse. Is that a problem? No, absolutely not. You're doing great. Keep up the good work. And now, the last and probably the most important part of the show, where we show you one craft from the exhibition, even though we want to pick 5. God damn it, it's so hard. This time we finally chose a wheeled pirate sloop called Sharky, made by Son Dusty. You thought that in our version of Dusty post-apocalyptic future, it's all about raiders and there's no room for proper pirates? You were wrong. Bring all those raiders here. Our Sharky wants a little snack. What can we say? It's a perfect vehicle for people who like to commit acts of violence while singing shanties, and we respect that. Great job, Son Dusty. That's it for today. Tell us what you think in the comments below, ask us questions, and if we somehow stop swinging chains and singing shanties, we'll return with some new crazy content in a couple of weeks. If you like what we're doing, consider subscribing, leave a like, and see you in the future.